Okay. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever part of the world you are in. Welcome to this space. At Green Women, a nature conservation organization, we not only promote environmental education in a holistic way, but we've also created this space so that women from all over the world can talk, raise awareness of what they do, and share how, through our own journeys, we are planting a seed in the world. My name is Marcela Villan. I'm located in Buenos Aires, Argentina, and I am part of this amazing organization, Green Women. I'm a teacher and I teach environmental education here in my area. Today, we have the great pleasure of having with us Zoubida Nemer, a geophysicist and researcher specializing in groundwater exploration and subsurface characterization. Her work focuses on using geophysical methods to better understand and manage water resources in arid and semi arid regions. She's also actively engaged in science communication and promoting the role of women in STEM, with a particular interest in making earth sciences more accessible to wider audiences. Ms. Zoubida Nemer, the floor is all yours.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm really honored to be here today. And way to go, Green Women. I have prepared some slides. Maybe I can share my screen so you can guys get to know me a bit better. Okay, can you see my screen?
Perfectly well, Zoubida, yeah.
Okay, thank you again. Welcome everyone. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Nemer Zoubida, and I'm here today to have a sort of a discussion about my research and what I do as a researcher. I have decided to prepare some slides so you can get an overview of what I do. And the title was chose like beneath our feet because most of what I do is searching what is beneath the surface of the earth, beneath our feet. And what the main thing that I search beneath our feet is water resources. So I will start with a brief introduction of who I am and what I do. I am a geophysicist and a lecturer at the University of Taslim al-Bahorgla in Algeria, at the heart of the Algerian desert, somewhere in here. And I have a great pleasure like teaching the next generation of earth scientists, these beautiful human beings that are really inspiring. And so basically my work is using geophysical methods and remote sensing to be able to detect what is beneath the surface of the earth. So when I say beneath the surface of the earth, there is a lot of things that are happening beneath the surface, whether we are looking for petroleum, gas, for minerals, or for water. And for me, it's mainly water resources. So my relationship with water resources is a bit interesting because I grew up in a country where water is never taken for granted. And I grew up specifically in a mountainous area where water resources were really scarce. And so I remember I have it, like I can picture it now. When I was little, we had to go to walk long distances across mountainous area just to get water from tiny source water coming from a rock. And I guess this is where it all started for me, both in terms of science and in terms of water resources protection. So for me, I was always asking myself, how can water come out of a rock, out of the subsurface? And this is how I started thinking about doing a science that will help me understand those sort of things. And so during my research, I have had the chance to travel all around the world, and I have met incredible people that are working to protect water resources. But if I had to choose one trip or one field trip that almost changed my life, it would be a trip that I did in Algeria, which is in a city that we call Adrar. And in this city, we had a project, a 3-year project, where we were supposed to use geophysics to understand how water level changes in agricultural region in the southern area of Algeria. And while doing that, I learned about this really ancient technique that the locals have developed and used for centuries to manage their water resources. and I got in touch with the locals, and I got into learning more about it, and I was inspired by how these people could live in such a harsh environment and also have access to water continuously and sustainably. And it all came to one thing: their adaptation to their environment. So they understood quite well their environment and the water resources that exist within the area. So I guess from that point on, I started thinking about water resources in terms of traditional knowledge and local knowledge. And this is where I started focusing more on storytelling. And storytelling meaning transforming my science into a story that people could understand. Because in my science, there is one term that we use, resistivity curve, for example, which is basically the signal that the subsurface gives me when I give it a signal, an input. So the output would be a curve, just a signal. And this, when I show people this signal, if you're not from the dome, if you are not geophysicist, you cannot understand it. But when you tell a story about a tunnel that carried water for 900 years and how people shared the water resources, how they protect it, and how they managed to do that without the instrument that we had today. Those kind of stories really travel, and those kind of stories really affect and can inspire people all around the world. So nowadays, what I try to do is to translate my data into something that shows people stories and that shows these incredible, inspiring stories from all around the world in places where I go do my research. And so, why I focus on groundwater? Well, groundwater is the world's largest store of fresh water. We use it for drinking, for irrigation, for all many ecosystems in the planet rely on the water resources and on groundwater resources. And it is, although it is one of the most important resources, it is largely unmapped, unmonitored, and we don't understand it properly. And we take it for granted for a while now. We have taken it for granted because it's an invisible resource. And for human beings, what we do not see, it's a bit of a kind of a weird relationship with things that we cannot see. And on top of all that, we are living in a changing climate that is also putting a lot of pressure on these resources, both in terms of demand, where we are now demanding more water because of hotter and drier seasons, because of demographic development, because of many other things, and also the diminution of recharge because we don't have enough rainfall to refill these aquifers. So now we have a lot of drawdowns that are that make the aquifers overexploited, and this can be an irreversible phenomenon. And this can happen all around the world, not only for aquifers that exist um, within the coastal area or the southern or the Saharan area. All around the world, this is a problem that most of groundwater aquifers are facing. And so, from my little, really modest experience in the field, what I learned is that I think my objective right now is to merge these two threads, these two lessons, which are traditional knowledge, where I understand more about the communities, how these people have dealt with climate and with water resources within their own environment, and also modern science, where I use my tools, including geophysics, GIS tools, remote sensing, and all the tools that can help me measure and map and understand more these resources, so we can take better decisions to manage these resources worldwide. And so for me, what securing water will take to be able to sustainably secure the water resources, it will mainly rely on three main things, which is better data, better access to data that are reliable and that can be used for decision making, and shared governments, because water is not a resource that one person or one sector uses. It's a shared resource that we all use, and that means that we all have a say in how we govern it and how to protect it. and also try to develop more climate smart designs, meaning solutions that are adaptable to the environment and to the changing climate that is happening right now. And that's it for me. Thank you so much for listening. Looking forward to the discussion and your questions.
Thank you, Zoubida. How interesting. Very interesting presentation indeed, right? And it's really very interesting to see how a place where you are born can really shape, yeah, the way, right, that will lead your future, right? So it's very interesting to see because you the very beginning started with you're telling us about the interest, how this interest in this topic was shaped by the place where you were born. Can you tell us a little bit more about it?
Yeah, yeah, sure. Well, I think now everyone asks me how come you are interested in water resources. When I think about it, it always take me back to when I was little. So as I told you, I was born and lived for a while in a mountainous area in Algeria, and we didn't have access to water inside the house, so we had to take these plastic water bottles that we take to the source. We had to walk over 2 kilometers, 3 kilometers to the source where the water came out of a rock. Magically for me at that point, it was really something magical. And so we got water. And the most interesting part in this is that this part of collecting water was mainly for women. So no men were involved
Mm,
in that. So it was only women. So my mom, my grandma, my aunties, we all went there. It was quite nice because you had to, like, we could see our cousins, we could go together, but it was really hard for us to do it. And I could see my mom taking
absolutely.
this huge, like it was heavy, so it's not something that is easy to hold or anything. But I mean, after a while, after some years, we moved to another city with my family, and in that city we had access to water from a tap. It was not continuously accessible, but at least we didn't have to walk for a long distances to get water.
Mm-hmm.
And also in that period as well, like, I think I lost that link to how hard it is to get water, but it was still in the back of my mind, I think. But as I was telling you, it was always interesting for me to see, to understand how what's beneath the surface of the earth, how water exists in there, how can the water come out of the rock. So this is what attracted me to the science of geophysics. And from there, I think when I started my PhD, the love of water, or the interest toward water, was really highlighted in my research, because that was the moment I
Absolutely.
said, I want to do that. I want to study water resources.
And that's excellent, right?
Yeah.
I always tell my students that here, where I am located in Argentina, we're lucky not to have that issue with water, right? Okay, at least in the place where I am. There are places in my country in which you also have that problem, but not in the place where I am. So, but I always tell about the realities that people in other part of the world face. And so, I want to ask this question. Uh, did this question of having to look for water when you were a little girl at any time take you out of your studies? That is to say, did you have to stop going to school or anything like that because of this need of fetching water every day?
For me personally, I was lucky not to have to do that, but I know that many girls had to do to
That's
go
it.
through that. So
That's
it
right.
was
So,
and yeah.
yes, please. Yes, please tell me.
No, it's just that it's so hard for women to go through that. So it's really it's the heaviest thing you could take. So we wanted to get as much water as possible and then get it home, because we needed water for
Absolutely.
everything. But for me, I
Absolutely.
was really lucky. I consider myself being lucky because we moved to another place. But for the girls that stayed there, I think many of them have suffered
That's
from that.
right.
Yeah.
So, Vida, you were able to complete your studies in Algeria, I understand.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, good. But now you are not in Algeria.
Well, I
So
travel a
how
lot.
did all that happen?
No, I travel a lot mainly for research collaboration. I'm also very lucky in that sense as well, because I think when you study water, it's always interesting to see how we deal with water resources all around the world. So I have been to many places, including the Netherlands, Australia, and Tunisia, and many places where we have these network of researchers that where we study groundwater resources. We do hydrogeophysics studies and try to understand more the water. And now, actually, I have a 3 month stay in Bremen, in Germany, at the University of Bremen, where I'm working actually with a fellow geophysicist on constructing hydrogeological models of one of the biggest aquifers in Algeria.
Okay, perfect. Do you move alone or you move with a family?
Sorry, I didn't hear.
Do you move alone when you go from place to place, or you have a family
No,
that
no. For
supports you?
now, I'm all alone, so
Okay.
I travel alone by myself. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And my next question is connected with this question of your insertion into the, let's say, scientific field, okay,
Yeah.
and how important it is, and how difficult it is for women, right, to be inserted into, let's say, scientific fields. So, tell us a little bit about your way into the scientific field, and if you feel that women have the same possibilities, or have wide possibilities in that field, or what changes you would like to see in connection with that.
Okay, so I think in to answer that question, I will focus mainly on my science, which is geophysics. So
Perfect.
geophysics requires really a lot of efforts, physical efforts, because we have to take these heavy equipments and we need to go sometimes to really remote areas and to do measurements in the desert, for example, which is something difficult. So it requires a lot of physical strength, which is not always easy, because I think when you think about physical strength, you don't really associate that with women, which is not correct in a sense. But yeah, it can be difficult for me as well. But I was lucky because I had mentors, both men and women, that really encouraged me and helped me to do what I do. But it was quite difficult because, for example, sometimes when I go to the field, well, I have difficulty to access because I am a woman, because they don't take me seriously, maybe it's still complicated to do geophysics for a woman in the field. But in some cases, it can be really easy. People can help you. People can really be interested on what we do. And yeah, so if I think about the difficulties, for me it would be mentorship and role models, because there are not many women geophysicists, for example, in my country, that do heavy like work in the field. And
Hmm.
I had my supervisor during my PhD. I had two supervisors that they are women, and incredible women that have done a lot of good things in geophysics. And I had the chance to do that. But I know other friends that did not have this chance, so it was complicated for them to move forward with their research. But as now a woman geophysicist and a researcher, what I aspire to be is also a mentor and a role model for other girls. Now, what I teach, last year I had a class of 35, only four of them were women.
Uh-huh, you
Yeah,
see.
this
Uh-huh.
year,
At university level.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
So I
right.
did geophysics. So these are geophysicists, the next generation of geophysicists. This year, I have also a class of 38, and I think there are more, like more or less 10 girls. So
Uh-huh, okay.
there is
An
it's
improvement.
better
Yeah,
improvement, but
yeah,
I
that's
really would like to see more women like interested in geophysics. But I think for geophysics, what's scary is more the physical part of it, like the physical requirements to do geophysical measurements.
Yes, absolutely. I understand. That's right. During your journey, let's say in connection with your scientific studies and the work that you are doing, have you won any kind of prize or were you recognized in some sort of way?
Oh, I don't really. Okay, I don't know, but I have been. I have done a TEDx talk about the Fogara system, so that was an
Uh-huh.
interesting experience. So I wrote a story about the ancient water resources management in the desert for
Mm-hmm.
IGRAP, which is the International Groundwater Assessment Center, and they work under the UNESCO. And I wrote the story about the Fogar system, and I won the best story of the year prize. And that also gave me the opportunity to do a TEDx talk about the Fugara, which made me really happy because people were interested in that. For me, heritage, it's a really a world heritage that everyone should know about and should learn more about. I have also been part of the OWSD finalist for the.
Uh-huh. Okay, can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, that was a few months ago, where there was this sort of a competition where we had to present our research in under 2 minutes. So it was the theme was short talks, big impacts, which is quite interesting. So we did the idea was to be able to tell as much as possible about your research in as few in
Absolutely.
little time. So I won the Arab region uh, for the Arab region, I think, and then for I was named the finalist for
Okay, that's good. And
yeah,
well, being named a finalist for the
yeah.
Organization for Women in Science and Developing World, it was a significant milestone, of course,
Yeah.
for you, right? Now, how did that recognition affect your confidence, your research ambitions, or your ability to inspire others?
Yeah, that was quite an interesting as an experience because of what came after that, what happened after that. Like a lot of people from my university, from my country, reach out to me, and they were looking to understand that, to learn more about my science and my work and what I do. So for me, this kind of visibility is really important. So you can from now on target people that are interested, and you can teach them more and you can inspire them more. So this was really interesting for me, and I was happy also to represent my country and my university in such competitions, which is quite nice. And also it was also an occasion for me to teach my students that communication matters. Like communication skills are really important. You need to be able to communicate clearly your ideas, and your science is all about communication. If you don't know how to communicate, if you don't, it's a skill that every scientist should have.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's very, very interesting, really. Why do you think, Sobida, that it's so important nowadays, or why is it becoming more important to take this question of environmental responsibility into universities and courses of studies and the study field in general?
Yeah, I think with everything that is happening around the world in terms of climate change, in terms of um, vulnerability to environmental problems, there is a need to really focus on that on all levels, not only at the university levels. But I think this is something that should be embedded within our core education, whether it's at primary school, high school, middle school, or university. And from my point of view, from what I do, my science helped me, for example, detect where water is, try to find solution on how to protect it from pollution that comes from the surface, or try to be able to tell people that you cannot pump more than this amount of water this year, so you can make it sustainable for future generations. And for my work or my teaching mainly, every time we do this kind of field work and we try to get as much data as possible, I try to tell my students, think more broader than just your data set. Think about how these data can be a tool for a sustainable management tool that can be developed within that area. And this triggers in them this critical thinking way of how to really understand their data and like how can I say that, really transform the data into a tool for decision making. Because I'm
Absolutely.
not gonna lie to you, I really don't like it when people talk about sustainability all the time but no concrete solutions. So for
Mm.
me, it, it's important that you transform whatever data that you have into concrete solutions that can be applicable in within a study area or globally or whatever. But you need to make it concrete as much as possible.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with you. We have to teach about the problems, but we also have to think about the solutions. That's right. To find ways to find solutions, especially working with adolescents. As in my case, I work with adolescents in connection with environmental education. The idea of making them think there are possible solutions, right? Okay, because I mean, you will be promoting, as you say, critical thinking, but also agency to be able to find ways to find solutions in the future. Yeah, it's like that. And just to conclude, Sobi, that this very interesting presentation, because I mean, what you've told us is really very, very interesting indeed. What legacy would you like to leave for girls, for young women, and for women in general who dream of pursuing a career in science? And what inspiring message would you give them to encourage them to dare to follow their dreams without fear of the obstacles that we have all faced along the way?
I think that's too much pressure.
It is.
Yeah, but I think I would like to tell people in general and women that if they have a dream or like there is nothing that could stop them from reaching what they want to do. And I have my well, within the group with whom I work, with whom I studied and everything, they always tell me this French phrase, which means basically that I am a dreamer. But I do dream a lot. This is, I think, how I came to be what I am now and doing what I am now. And I'm very grateful and I feel very lucky to be doing what I do. I love my job, and I really want other girls and other women to be able to do it as well. There is nothing that can hold them from doing what they want, not being a woman, at least not the fact of being a woman. This is not an obstacle, quite the contrary. It is an advantage that you can take and you can use it to do really amazing things. And also, even if you are alone, don't be afraid. Like, even if you are on your own and you have this amazing idea that you can do it, you can change the world even by yourself, because I think most of the things that change the world came from one person. So this is how it works. So you
Yes,
start,
absolutely.
you change the world on like a small circle maybe, and that circle will grow eventually. And this is the sort of legacy that I want to leave.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks.
So, Vida, for me, it's been a real pleasure to be listening to you and to, let's say, to listen to all your journey and your ideas and your real dreams, yes, in connection with this question. But I think that now we have questions from people in the audience, right? Okay. Martin, are
Ye-
you there? You okay? You would like to ask a question?
Yes, I wrote in the chat. I wrote, in regions such as Sonora, Mexico, should we continue investing in deeper groundwater extraction, or should we focus on restoring natural recharge through watershed restoration, manage aquifer recharge, and changes in agricultural practices? Which approach has shown the best long-term results worldwide?
Okay, so Vida, if you want, you have the question in the chat box, right? Okay.
Yeah, I think I
Okay.
agree. Okay, Martin, thanks a lot for the question. To be honest with you, I'm never with this idea of drilling more and looking for more water resources. What I think would work better is to work with what we have, try to manage it in terms of quantities and in terms of qualities. So if we know that maybe in 2 years or 3 years the water table will be down by 3 or 4 meters, try to manage it with that in mind. Like, don't go drilling more, because it is never a good idea. I can give you examples from my own country where we have now a problem with saltwater intrusion. So saltwater intrusion is basically when water from the sea is entering the freshwater aquifer, because it is connected. The freshwater and the seawater is connected. So when you pump more than what is recharging, the salt water will eventually come inland, and then you will have this decrease in quality, which is basically like you will start pumping salt water, which is not good for agriculture, nor for drinking, nor for anything. And these phenomena are irreversible. There is no way you can get back to the initial state, or if you can, it would be really difficult to do so. So for me, there is this concept of integrated water management, which means that there is no way you can. The solution would be to go dig deeper and find new resources. For now, I think we should focus on trying to restore what we have, trying to manage properly what we have. And from the desert, this is what they have done for centuries. Like the system that I talked about, the Fugara system, it is a system so ingenious that in the middle of the desert, where temperature can go up to 60 degrees, they can get water all year long. But one thing is important about the system is if the water table is down, the quantity of the water will be down. But they don't look to get more water. What they do is that they change the crops that they grow based on the quantity of water. And they accept it. So they go with the flow in a way. So if the water is, if the rate is decreasing, you manage it. If it's increasing, you can do certain things based on that. So
Yeah,
I think
very interesting.
this is how we should do, because now digging deeper and finding new resources, it's interesting in some places, but it's not something sustainable, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
We have that
Martin,
problem. We
yes,
have that
please.
problem because I live next to the Gulf of California. Is one
Yeah.
hour from my house, and because Jacques Cousteau said it was the aquarium of the world, we have a lot of seawater. But what is happening is what you have explained, and now we have a lot of salt, and we cannot use that salt. And Hermosillo is the capital, and we are bringing water from other cities. So it's a large aqueduct to bring water from other place to here. Then
Mm.
that's why we must look for solutions, because we are at plus 50 Celsius, not the 60 that you mentioned, but that's why I would like to know more about how you do it with your 60 Celsius in
Yeah.
TCD, where we are at plus 50. And they say, oh, it's so hot here. Oh, no, hot is where I live. But we must learn how to have to use water properly,
Mm.
because it's not enough for the people who live here. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin.
Absolutely. Yes. And so, given Martin's question, I'm going to ask something in connection with my own students. What advice would you give to adolescent students, right, or to adolescents in general, in a country in which there is no water? I mean, we don't have this question of lack of water as we do in other areas, and you would be aware, yeah. Okay. Um, what advice would you give them? I always talk about let's say, function of taking care of water, taking short showers, okay, not leaving the tap open, not using water for whatever purpose, right, or time, and then leaving the tap open. Okay, but is there any other piece of advice you consider necessary given
Sorry, Marcela, I cannot hear you properly. Sorry.
okay. Uh, you know that I work with adolescents, I told
Yeah.
you, right? And I
Yeah.
teach environmental education in a place where water is not such a big issue. So,
Mhm.
what advice would you give to students in this area in which water is not an issue? I always tell them to take care of water, to not to leave the tap open, not to, let's say, take long showers. But is there any other piece of advice you consider necessary given to these adolescents?
It's thank you for the question, Marcela. But it's interesting how we think that, like for example, in your country, you don't have problems with water. You know that the desert once it
No, we
was
don't have that big issue. There are
water.
problems, of course, but
Yeah,
not
but
that big issue.
maybe for now it's not an issue, but in
That's
10
why.
years, in 20 years, it's not.
Absolutely.
Everything can happen, and in the
That's
world
why.
we are living in, it's everything can happen. I told you, even in the desert, even in the desert, it was
It's a
we
question
had
of time, I
big
know.
lakes. Yeah, so I think I think it should be interesting for these people to learn more about what is happening globally, what had happened globally, like learn
Yeah,
stories from Africa, from I don't know, Australia, from any other places where water is actually a problem. Even
a
here
big
in
issue.
Europe, yeah, even here in Europe, there are countries that do not. When I went, for example, to Slovakia to for the TEDx talk, I had this conversation with them, and they had absolutely never thought of water as being a problem, because they have never thought of people going walking like 10 kilometers a day to get access to water. But this is happening in Africa, it's happening in India, in Australia, in all, in many countries around the world.
In
And this,
Argentina as well, not in the area where I am, but yes, in other
yeah,
areas. That's why.
so
That's why I always want to open their eyes to all these
exactly.
situations, right? Hmm. That's
And
it.
I think the way of, like I told you, I'm interested now in using maps, using storytelling, using maps and using pictures and using videos to talk a bit more about this, because I think for young people it's more interesting to do it that way. So now currently with a friend of mine, we are doing a documentary in the desert, where we are documenting this system, this ancient system, how it works, how it started, how it is inside, and also go back to the history of it, and learn more about how it came to be as a tool in that area. And I, through the story also that I wrote, I think a lot of people were interested in it, because for them it was not science as science, but it was more of a story in a way. So I think people are reacting positively to this kind of telling story, or sharing knowledge. So I guess this can also be an interesting way of doing it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Zoubida, for this interesting presentation. Stephanie, the floor is all yours now. We cannot hear you, Stephanie. You are muted. Now.
No, okay. So thank you so much, Subida,
Mhm.
because we can see, we can talk with Marcela, and I think so. We have at the same point to talk about what's going on the next years and what's going on with the future and the water and everything. And probably you have the big solution, and we have the big woman here probably found the solution in the future. But it's really amazing because for now, living in the present, we can show and we can be more conscious about what happened in another parts in the world and what's going on and what we do with this. And you are the light, the spark, and this part. And it's not easy because in Latam and America Latina, we have everything about water, the nature and everything, but I think so we need to value more and we need more caution about this.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
and I think so if we stay together and we have more space like this, we can share this knowledge and we can make a contact, right? Because Martin Albert they do the questions, and now have you contact and can contact in the future, and you can talk with them and what's going on. It includes is more researching, see which part in the world we have in the same problem you try to find the solution. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Stephanie. Thanks, Marcela, for having me.
No,
And thank you
please.
for doing a lot for the environment and for.
Absolutely. Yes, we have to
I'm
continue.
really proud of
And
you.
together, we can do much more. Okay. If we walk
Exactly.
alone, that's not good. But if we are together, we can do much more. Right?
Indeed, we are. Thank you so much. Thanks.
Thank you, Zoubida. It's been a pleasure, really. So, Stephanie, it's all yours now. Martin is leaving his cell phone number, Zoubida, for you to keep in touch, okay?
Okay, I will take that.
Okay, and I saying you contact Martin Martinez is a contact mine, so I send you the LinkedIn platform.
Okay.
And yeah, I think so for me. It's make me happy today. It's Saturday. Argentina game. We win. I don't know what's going on with the cup.
Let's go.
But let's go. Let's go for this.
Let's go.
And I think so. This is really grateful today because we learning about you investigation and everything. But we have one chapter in Green Woman, what's going on and what's happened. And that's important for me too. So it's made me happy my weekend so I can enjoy today. And thank you, everyone. Marcel, if you have so many questions or more words to say, you are the amphitryon today to close the chapter. Thank you, Marcel.
Okay, so Vida, is there anything else you would like to add to close this session? Something that you want to mention apart from all the beautiful things that you told us?
Well, I don't know. Yeah, you have to come visit Algeria, please.
Okay.
Now you come visit Argentina. But
okay,
yeah,
okay, that's good.
Promise, I will. I try to go to Argelia.
Perfect. You're most
We can go
welcome.
to see the eclipse in 2027.
Ah,
Do you understand? The eclipse, it says that it's going to be a good place near there, in Egypt or near Spain.
Near Spain, you say?
sorry?
What did you say, Martin? We couldn't hear you very well.
Oh, that there's going to be an eclipse in August 2027. That one good place to watch it is in Egypt or Morocco or someplace. Maybe we can go there.
That's why. Okay, well, so Vida, maybe she's near there, right? Okay, so she will be able to see it. Okay, that will be
So we are going to
wonderful.
have a meeting in Egypt or in Morocco.
Okay,
Or
that's it.
Algeria.
Algeria, that's right. We could all be there. Well,
Yeah,
thank you so
but-
much, everyone, for being here. It's been a real pleasure. So, Vida, we cannot be more grateful, really. Yeah, it's been a
Thank you
real
so much.
pleasure to have you here, right? And to listen to your journey, to listen to your story. Thank you, everyone, for the questions. And see you all next time in our next meeting, right, with some other new journey to listen to, right? It's been a pleasure.
Yeah. Bye. See you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.